Welcome to BMW. My name is Ulrich Knieps and I'm in charge of product and technology communication at the BMW headquarters in Munich. It's a great pleasure for me to invite you to our today's exclusive unveiling of an all-new car concept. We are sorry that you were not able to join us in person here in Munich. However, we hope we can compensate a little bit by offering you the live stream of our unveiling here in Munich. We will start in a few seconds. Please enjoy.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and as this event is broadcasted across the world, by the way, good morning and good evening to the eastern and western part of the rest of the world. Welcome to the first BMW press event in 2009. My name is Dirk Arnold and I'm responsible for product communications. Before I go on, I'd like to ask you to make use of your headsets because I will continue now in German. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you will be experiencing here live and exclusive is the world premiere of an entirely innovative vehicle concept. Innovative and new not just for BMW but also for the entire automobile industry. To the wider public, this concept won't be introduced until the Geneva Auto Salon, and everything that you will be hearing and seeing here today has, however, already been released for publication. All films, animations, and the speeches that you will be seeing and hearing today are comprised in a multimedia DVD that you can obtain outside from the counter. That means you don't need to do a lot of writing here, and you will see we've also done a couple of things differently than usual, in keeping with the new vehicle concept, which is also not an ordinary BMW. Matthias Kienz, who works in marketing sales at BMW, and he's in charge of the product and product management and the launch of this new concept, will now tell us a little more about the idea behind this new concept. Matthias, please. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to extend a cordial welcome to our media preview. Before presenting our latest product, I would like to briefly comment on a more general question. Which conditions determine our actions right now? Numerous factors have a significant influence on the future of the automobile in our industry. The current economic crisis has led to uncertainty among consumers and to a decrease in sales worldwide. Legal requirements regarding safety issues and emission performance are tightened. The cars we are developing are becoming increasingly efficient. However, such comprehensive programs such as efficient dynamics obviously incur costs that are not fully reflected in our product prices. We have to spend a considerable amount of time and money on drive technologies. Even though some hybrid or electric and hydrogen cars have already been launched, these are not technically mature yet. In some cases, also, we still lack the technology to ensure fully regenerative energy generation, or there's a lack of infrastructure. In short term, none of these alternative technologies will be able to replace the traditional combustion engine at short notice. To make a long story short, you could say the economic, social and environmental conditions have changed more dramatically than expected. And most of all, they've also changed faster. The result is that the automotive industry is facing major challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, one thing is for sure. The car will continue to be the guarantor of individual mobility in the future, be it in business or leisure trips. The key question is, how can we keep up our successful market performance? At BMW, we have identified two priorities. First of all, it's the customer and his demands. They come first. That's the key element in our strategy number one. And secondly, innovations, individualized design, emotional appeal and flexibility of the automobile are gaining importance. They are clear, distinctive features, and to us, this is why we regard innovation as the key to a successful future. Ladies and gentlemen, in the past few months, we have managed to distinguish ourselves from our competitors thanks to innovative individual vehicle offerings. I'm thinking of the BMW engine, the 7 Series Executive Hybrid. I've just said that innovation is the key to a successful future of the BMW Group. And the technology is key here, but also the innovative vehicle concept. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I shall now turn to what is at the core of today's media event. Let's start the film showing you an intelligent and new concept that's without competition in the entire automotive world for modern mobility.
When we sit down to develop a new BMW, we think about it for a long time first. A very long time. A lot of questions need to be answered. The most important question is, who is this car for? Obviously for someone who likes to travel. He could be married. Children. Maybe the children are somewhat older, and when they have moved out of their parents' home, they mostly come back to visit, only to leave something behind. Now let's have a look at where he lives. That's a little too simple. Modern design, elegance, status, something like that. For someone who likes playing golf, or maybe surfing. Anyway, someone who needs a lot of equipment. What else? Well, shopping bags, for example, or a painting from an art gallery. A sedan isn't roomy enough. A station wagon could be the best solution. No, that has too much utility character. Maybe we could build it higher. It's just more impressive. Great. A combination of better view and higher seating. But what if someone wants to take corporate clients to lunch? Then even getting in the car would prove to be a climbing act. Okay, back to a lower position again. Or how about a semi-command seating position? That allows for easy entry and good visibility. But in no way does a BMW driver want to feel like a bus driver. And what about the passengers in the back? Where will they put their legs? So I'm immediately reminded of, exactly, the difference between economy and first class. But how to transfer that feeling to a car? Maybe the car can simply be lengthened. Add an adjustable back seat, more legroom or more trunk room, either way you want. And what about a panorama roof? It immediately invokes a new interior feeling. Premium comfort, everything feels good, just like first class. Additionally, a coupe-like shape adds first-class elegance to the exterior, without limiting headroom, of course. Now, everyone should be happy and satisfied. But wait, a colleague just had a good idea. What if something has to be put away quickly in the storage area? It's cold out, and it's getting really unpleasant in the car. Do I have to open the huge trunk just for a couple of bags? A small storage compartment within the big one would be just the right thing, wouldn't it? Ingenious. Open the small storage compartment, stash the bags, and it stays warm inside. And then another extra feature. A storage area separated from the passenger's compartment, just like a sedan. Everything stored discreetly, nothing to be seen, smelled, or heard. Amazing. Semi-command seating position, clever functionalities, first-class seating comfort, luxurious interior, and loads of adjustable storage areas. It's not a sedan, it's not an SUV or a station wagon. Something new, full of character, 100% BMW. He has to impress. And of course turn heads at the most exclusive locations in the world. Stylish appearance, elegant atmosphere, suitable for business settings, and powerful through and through. the truly new BMW.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think this film explains in a very charming way what this concept has to offer and what is so new about it. In a nutshell, the BMW concept is a modern and timely interpretation of the sedan. It combines the look of an elegant, prestigious sedan that we combined with the functional characteristics of an SUV and the elements of a classic Gran Turismo. As for the design, I will let the experts do most of the talking. But one remark, please. The design language clearly shows that this car is a true BMW. Elegant, sophisticated, and dynamic to the core. How our designers have solved this, and very successfully so, is something that my colleague Mr. Bangle will tell you later on. With this concept study, we will establish again an entirely new vehicle segment. Therefore, we haven't had any competition yet in the market right now. I called the concept intelligent before. Why is that? Because the BMW concept allows for maximum variability, as you have just seen in the film. It is luxurious, and the passengers have as much room as on a first-class flight. At the same time, the interior can be divided up depending on your individual space requirements. So a long-distance sedan with a separate trunk can easily be turned into an absolutely practical car. Folding the rear seats increases the trunk space to about 1,650 liters. That's around the level of the 5 Series Touring. The higher flexibility of the interior and the luxurious equipment guarantee a maximum convenience on any trip, and this is what we call true modern mobility. What is the target group that this new vehicle concept addresses? From our point of view, these are demanding and modern people. Of course, they are all car drivers, but they are drivers who expect plenty of room. They appreciate an air of exclusivity, and they like to make use of the benefits of a variable passenger compartment. In other words, they're looking for an automobile that adapts to their needs and not the other way around. These customers will decide in favor of the concept because the design, the product substance, and the quality of this car will actually appeal to those customers. As I said at the beginning, it's all about the customers and their demands. And with this vehicle, we want to attract new customers who currently drive sedans, SUVs, or even crossover models. But we also hope to gain customers that we have not been able to address yet. And I believe with this car, we have opened up the great opportunity to contact these people. We assume that most of these customers in our key markets, in Europe and in the US, are the ones that we can approach. Ladies and gentlemen, last but not least, let me now tell you how this vehicle is called. The name of the car is BMW Concept 5 Series Gran Turismo. With its beautiful appearance, its pleasant travel pleasure, you're extending the Gran Turismo to a new four-doors vehicle, and for you to get a better idea about the proportions and about the interior of the car, I may now hand over to my colleague, Chris Bangle, who will explain the concept to you in detail. I'd like to thank you very much for your attention, and I'm looking forward to our conversations later on. Thank you.
Dankeschön, Matthias. Dankeschön.
Thanks, Matthias. Thank you. And I'd also like to extend a cordial welcome to you, ladies and gentlemen. For 1 week, my successor, Adrian van Hooydonk, has already been acting as the BMW Group Design Head. He's asked to be excused because he's at a meeting in New York at the time, which had been planned for a long time. But this gives me the opportunity to again launch another new concept. It's the most beautiful moment for an automobile designer if you witness the birth of a new concept. And I'm very proud of Adrian and his team. They've done great work. It was a beautiful experience. And now I'd like to share this experience with you because it's a totally new type of car. It's truly innovative, and we'll have a look at it from the inside out. In order to do this, I'll also start with a film, but it's not a cartoon, it's not a scribble. Although scrabble is a very good idea to discuss things, this time I'd like to fly right through the car with you so that we can understand it from the inside out. And that's what you need those 3D glasses for. Please, could you put them on right now? I've got a monitor here, so I don't need them. But you need them, all right? You're looking like people in a 1950s film. It's really cool. At least I get a bit of pleasure from looking at you. Well, first, let's start the film. Now, you will find yourselves in the interior of the new BMW Concept Series 5 Gran Turismo. And that's a very particular view that you have from here, because that's roughly the view of the driver. While you're driving, of course, you're a little more to the left. You're a little more centered right here. But this is exactly the height that the driver would have. And what you're seeing here is how you have a totally new driving experience, because you can see the dashboard, the entire design of the instrument panel, the doors, and the entire proportions of the interior. You can work with all this to create a new experience of spaciousness from the point of view of the driver. This is also beautiful and new. You can see here how the lines of the dashboard stretch and extend from one side to the other through the broad wood trimmings, and everything is very flat, which is entirely new for an automobile interior. Usually everything is fairly upright, but with the new type of seating position that the Gran Turismo offers, you get entirely new understanding of the proportions of the interior. From the point of view of the driver, this is where you first notice, well, it's a BMW and it's also a Gran Turismo. You expect a BMW to have a fantastic driving experience, and a Gran Turismo needs to further support this idea. And this is why we've got this type of orientation of the instrument panel, the controls, the buttons, everything. Everything can be clearly seen and felt. You can see it's a driver-oriented car. And the generous space inside clearly makes itself felt through the wraparound effect. And at a first glance, you can see the middle console. There's something that we know from the new 7 Series, and that's the so-called black panel, the technology center that we have incorporated in the center. It's really much inspired from high-end stereo equipment. It's the black, highly polished, smooth surface, and the information becomes visible from behind it, transparent only when information is needed. Otherwise, it's just beautiful, smooth black, running from the front to the rear in some sort of a black band. And it's that type of flow from the front to the back, from one side to the other. It's such a good description of what we've done and why the interior experience of the Gran Turismo is totally different to that of an ordinary sedan. That's the best picture here. What you see to the fore is how the instrument panel and the black band from the black panel flows along to the rear of the car, but you're also seeing a very beautiful innovation, and that's the one-piece type of design, the unitary design, combining front door, rear door, In an ordinary sedan, you would separate it. You'd have a door, then you'd have the B column, and then you'd have another door at the back. But in contrast to that, in the new BMW 5 Series Gran Turismo, the passengers in the rear are sitting so far back, and they've got so much space that they've got a good view of the entire side effect of those two doors. And the designer here has had an excellent idea, because he said, we'll combine it all into one floor, and if you sit down in a car later on, please note it's a fantastic experience. It's so much width and so much spaciousness that the car has to offer. It's definitely unique. You don't get that anywhere else. You're in a different driver position, in a slightly raised position, and you've got the whole length. Talking about length, of course, many of these cars, or much of this car, depends on where exactly you're sitting, and right at the beginning it's important to establish how high you want to sit. There's the front seat, rear seat, getting in, getting out. All this is stuff that depends on how high the seat is. And it's that experience, getting in and out of the car. How far do you see? What you see from the road, that's really what makes the new concept so special. And it's really a new concept. You're sitting about that much higher than in an ordinary 5 Series, and about that much lower than in an X5. That's the so-called semi-command position, not a command position as in an X5, but it's semi-command position. It makes it much easier to get in and out of the car. If it's, in an SUV, you have to climb up. If it's a lower one, a sedan, sometimes you sort of fall back in your seat. But here, it's the perfect thing in between. But it also gives you a good view of the road, just as you would expect from a semi-command position. And this is something that customers are really expecting from us. They want to see much more. Now, what applies to the front seats, of course, also applies to the rear. There, too, everything is very spacious. It's all easy to get in and out. You can get into the car in the same height. And due to the length of the car, you've got a special first-class seating experience. It's not coach class or economy. It's truly first class. Here you have a lot of space. How much space do you have? A 5 Series car, usually, at the rear, you've roughly got, well, like in a 7 Series. But then you can move the seat fore and aft. You can use variations, either more luggage or more seating, depending on how you want to use the car. In all, let's say that first-class seating experience in this car, in the front and the rear, it's just an experience all around. We believe that makes the car very unique in a landscape today that's characterized by either driving an off-roader or driving a sedan. And in this position here, with plenty of leg room, you've got other advantages too. On one hand side, we can show you how many more centimeters space do we actually have. Here you see the length of the car, and then there's the leg space that you have. That's something you can truly enjoy when you sit in the rear of the car. And as I said, for a car in the 5 Series category, it's actually like a 7 Series. You've got leg room like in a 7 Series car. And that's an experience that continues. It's not only from the knees downwards, but what's very important for a premium or first-class experience is that you've also got enough headroom. It's hard to believe, but although we've got this coupe silhouette, there's more than a centimeter more headroom in the rear than you would find in the X5. The X5 is a car that's got a fairly square rear with a lot of luggage room, but in an X5 you would expect, yes, it's tall, you'll get that headroom, but in this car, it's got a coupe line, it's extremely slim, Gran Turismo, but still you get more headroom than in the X5, and that's thanks to the engineers. I really must say, congratulations to you in the engineering department. They really thought of it very well, starting from what customers demand, asking themselves, how do we have to build a car? And in this car, that's a special feature. It's all been incorporated in the new concept. Now, what else are we offering? We're offering a lot of luggage space, but something special too. It's not just an intelligent tailgate system, it's also how you design the interior with that dividing wall. You can fold the rear seat down and use it as luggage space. It's not like an ordinary touring or like an SUV, because you've still got a dividing wall that keeps the passenger compartment completely separate from the trunk. And that's new. It's not just that you fold down your seat and then you've got a view of the entire luggage compartment. No, here you're keeping those two spaces separate with the dividing wall. It's an experience of space that's first class all the time, but there may be a moment still where you need more, where you want greater versatility, variability, and then you fold down the seat and the dividing wall, and then you've got this movable dividing wall that actually comes out, and you've got a very, very huge luggage space. And this is an opening that leads to dimensions of the trunk that's clearly what you'd expect of a touring. No, we're flying right through the luggage compartment, through the small opening that's the tailgate, like in a sedan. It's very small. We're flying right through, then we're turning around, closing it, and now we can open the large tailgate. That's as large as you would expect from an X5 or a very, very large car, so that you can easily get your luggage and things in and out. Very simple functionality, much better than in a sedan. The entire effect in the interior, you'll find this is a new level of luxury. It's the new experience of spaciousness. There's also more versatility and functionality with the dividing wall and the seats and that new dimension, the true first-class seating. All that brings the car into a whole new category. We haven't seen this before. Now we're leaving the interior for a minute and we're going to the outside. A Gran Turismo, what is that? Well, in this case, what it means, it's an experience of light. We want to have this all open and spaciousness. And this is why we're starting with a top view. You see the large panorama roof. You see how important it is to have a large opening in the wall and large side windows, because you get this feeling of lightness. There's not too much. You not want to be cramped into the space or look out onto the world through a slot. It's really about enjoying the car from the inside and out. And we're talking about glass. There's another innovation at this here for BMW. It's for the first time in this concept car that we're showing you 4 doors and the windows are frameless. You know that from our 3 Series Coupe, but this is now a 4-door car, and that's a technical challenge to our engineers. Still, it's a beautiful side graphic that you get through it, and it's easier to get in and out of the car because there's not as much door frame in your way. So it's functional, and it's also got a lot of sex appeal. That was certainly the right way to go, and I'm grateful that our engineers allowed us to make it come true. Now we're going away from the side glass, we're going down the stretched body side. In contrast to the 7 Series, you see there's a lot more sculpture in the car. Of course, the car is larger. It can take a little more sculpturing because it balances the weight much better. And this is the side glass graphic with the famous Hofmeister kink, very nicely integrated into a beautiful graphic. Here's the front end, a very upright kidney grille. It looks a little more alert, large headlight effects, and the rear is particularly beautiful because it's firm on the road, it's very broad and solid. You would never expect to have so much room inside that car. It's a beautiful sporting car. Another novelty that we have here are the white Corona rings. They're supplied by LEDs. That's for the D-light, daytime driving lights. That's also for the first time ever in a BMW. And this is now the entire vehicle. It's a car that looks super sexy from the outside. It's a Gran Turismo, no doubt about that. But then the interior, wow. If you open the door, you see on the inside, the experience is much more than you would expect. And it's useful, it's functional. That's the difference between cars that fit into a certain category. Let's say that's a 3 Series. What will the next 3 Series be? And then the next 3 Series. But this is a new category. We're starting from the customer. And my experience in the automobile business is it rarely ever happens that you really can start from scratch. If you look at what does it really mean, designing for the customer. And here's a good example of it. We've done it. Now, let's have a look at the car itself. Lisa, Sonia, if you would assist me here, we'll unveil the baby for you, ladies and gentlemen, the BMW 5 Series Concept Gran Turismo. Thank you. And thanks for the applause. I mean, babies don't get born every day. It's part of the whole deal. Well, I'll go around the car with you, with the cameraman, and then later on Maybe you'll remember what I said when you'll have a look at the car yourselves. The front end is very important for the car because it reflects the character of the car and how it sits on the road. You can also take off those glasses now because that car is three-dimensional anyway. The kidney grille, as I said, is fairly upright and very large. And why is that? It's sufficient dynamics, great engines, great performance, that they need a lot of air, so you need a large air intake. So you've put it into a little more upright position, which makes the front overhang a little shorter because you want to have the mass between the wheels. But it reminds you maybe a little more of the BMWs of the past, the upright kidney grille. But what I think is really great, you've got this beautiful beginning for the line. And especially with the new regulations concerning pedestrian protection, that's something you can beautifully done with that sort of geometry, the flowing lines along the entire bonnet. It's like that famous waistline that we always use right through the door handles, from the front right to the rear lights, the white Corona rings at the front, as I've already mentioned. That's all LED technology. The rear, that's also LED. But the classic one, and this is the new look that we have with the strong bar of light. And then, I mean, it's a concept car. We've definitely got some sexy wheels on this. These are aluminium rims with a new interpretation of the spokes, very sexy side mirrors. A little smaller than you would expect, but what do you mean? I mean, it's a concept car, and what I can promise you here is this is a car, and customers will see it that way. If you see this car on the road, it's broad, it sits on the road, it's not, wobbly or anything, it's not a little box, it's not such something with a nice sexy graphic. It's really holistically a great Gran Turismo car. As I said, this is for the Geneva Car Saloon. In roughly 2 weeks' time we will be presenting it there, and this is our only model. And that's why we put protective covers onto the seats so that you can actually get in and out of the car and you won't ruin the car for us. So please understand, sorry for the inconvenience, and let me tell you, the protective covers that we've actually put on make it a tiny bit higher than it actually is in reality. Later on it's a little lower. It's a very broad rear, flowing lines all around the car, an interior that's super functional and fantastic to experience. And here, great praise to all of those who cooperate here, the marketing people who had so much understanding for what customers wanted, engineered with so much understanding for what it means to really do the right thing, and then the design team that faced all those challenges of how you can bring it all together and to make it 100% BMW, because really, I must say, great job. There are a couple of experts here, and we've got 2 experts from design here with me today. I want to introduce them to you. Corona Düring, she's standing over there. She was in charge of the color inside and outside and the materials and so on. And then Christopher Weil, he's in charge of the exterior of the vehicle. Please ask those 2 if you have any questions about the design, about what they have to say about the car. And now, enjoy, have fun with the car, and I'll go and pass back to Dirk. Thanks. Thank you very much, Chris. And apart from the 2 colleagues from design, and Chris Bangle, and of course Matthias Kienz, we've got another expert, another father of the BMW 5 Series Gran Turismo here. That's Erhard Frank over here. He's the senior developer, I would say. He's in charge of all the major model series, 5, 6, and 7 series, and also the 5 Series Gran Turismo. There's somebody else I would like to mention. It's our photographer, Tom Kirkpatrick, over there on the right. He'll be available for any individual photo requests you might have. Chris has just mentioned it. Please understand that we had to put protective covers over the seats because this is really, truly our own concept car, and we'll still need it for the motor show in Geneva in a presentable state. And now we've got plenty of time to take your questions, to have discussions, and I propose that we do that right here at the car. Thanks a lot.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the media preview of the last BMW innovation. Thanks again for watching us. And stay tuned. More interesting details about the all-new 5 Series Gran Turismo will follow within the next days. Goodbye and have a great day.